I think I sit here from my seat and perspective. You are at this intersection of a lot of speed, of a lot of velocity with the world changing, streaming's changing, how users are interacting and engaging with advertising and publishers and agencies. It's all so rapidly changing. How do you view it though? Do you view it of like, okay, it's as fast as it seems to the rest of the world? Or do you kind of have an ability to, is there some pause? Because to me, you're like at the helm of this fire hose where technology and the world is changing. And it's like, you kind of got to have a grip on a lot of things. And I think it could get overwhelming. How do you kind of level set, okay, I got this because clearly you got it, but how do you view it?
I think maybe I shouldn't admit this on a public record, but in some ways I'm a bit of a Luddite. When it comes to, my wife gives me grief for this all the time, but I'm not the most active person on social media. I'm a student of it and I'm there and I understand, I think, hopefully what's happening. But I try to keep an arm's length from some of these things, just close enough where I understand what's happening, active enough where I know what the space provides. And so I've always very intentionally tried to create some healthy distance between myself and whatever it is I'm looking into. So I think that's one way in which I'm able to see the forest for the trees. The second, thankfully, I have a few of my own gray hairs, and I've seen at least a few tech waves, so that each shift feels a little bit less seismic. And to me, the shift to streaming is really similar in many ways to the shift to mobile, which is kind of really where I entered my professional career in the early mid 2000s. When I was at Google, we were talking about, we're going to hit that fulcrum point of more than 50% of searches are going to happen on mobile. And I feel like we talked about that for years and probably close to a decade. And then it finally happened. And ever since then, the phone has become so integral to the way we live our lives. And for a lot of people, TV, that's always been the case. It's just never been digital, and it's never been, from a marketer's perspective, integrated along the rest of their digital media mix or marketing mix. And so in some ways, like understanding what's truly new and unique about those shifts, being, in that case, being able to actually, alongside social and commerce and all these other platforms, be able to have TV finally part of the digital mix is incredibly revolutionary. But TV's always been the center of most marketers' media mix. So in some ways, that's nothing new. And many of the things that worked well in the traditional TV ecosystem also work well in the streaming ecosystem. And many of the things that work well in the social advertising space work well in streaming as well. So having a sense of how seismic and what's uniquely seismic about these shifts is, I think, really important. Some of that comes with time, some of that comes with distance.
Are there any other, maybe one or two seismic shifts that you see kind of happening or foresee happening in the not too distant future?
I see, and this isn't a binary shift, but I think the convergence of the digitization of commerce and the digitization of video, which, streaming is at the center of, as inextricably linked as well. And so again, for most marketers, TV has been at the epicenter of their strategy, but then commerce was all the way over here. And so from an advertising perspective, the advent of retail media, the digitization of a lot of trade promotion and circulars and things like that, at the same time that TV streaming is taking up more and more of marketers' share when they're thinking about how do I deploy my video and advertising across all these different channels. Ultimately, I see those things converging, which is really exciting because then from an advertiser perspective, you get to create all these new experiences where maybe I can actually buy on my television, or the advertising I'm putting into these retail media outlets, can I also connect that with my TV investment? And that's really exciting from a measurement, performance, but ultimately a consumer experience standpoint, where the message you're seeing on your TV, then when you pick up your phone, it can actually continue the customer journey. And instead of just hearing just a general broad brand message on TV, now I'm actually seeing a coupon for whatever that product is, or a local store location where I'm actually directed to in-store to my local retailer. So all of these new converging trends between commerce and media and video consumption, I think are really exciting.
Can you take us into maybe an example of a conversation that you're having with a publisher or an agency or a brand? Because like you said, there are a lot of folks where TV was always a big part of it. And there's kind of a resurgence of and of course, connecting commerce and media and these things. So what are some of the things that you're talking about at a high level, obviously, but kind of behind the boardroom doors of like, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is the conversations we're having with brands, publishers, agencies, etc.
I think I've spent a lot of my career focused on CPG, consumer packaged goods, food brands. And I think certainly for television, that is, most large major CPGs who've been around the last number of decades, they built their brands on TV. And if I think back even a few years ago when we were talking to them, a lot of the conversations are around how do I reach anybody who's got a mouth if you're a food brand? Hey, if you're selling chocolate or soda or things like that, your audience is everybody. And so when they entered the streaming space, they were attracted to the same benefits that TV's always provided. Huge reach, large cultural moments, relevancy. And now where a lot of the conversations have shifted is to a much more nuanced understanding of who audience is. I don't just want to reach everybody with a mouth. If I'm a toothbrush brand, I want to reach people who are really interested in and have actually bought in the category, but for natural brands, if I'm a natural toothpaste. And so we've forged partnerships with retailers like Kroger to marry their consumer data around who's shopping different categories to then say, to any manufacturers who are distributing through Kroger, hey, we can help you conquest in your category in ways that you never would have been able to do in TV before. And it's with all the same benefits of sight, sound, and motion that you can really take advantage of huge storytelling, big audiences, but really relevant audiences for the first time. And so I think the marriage and convergence of those two dynamics completely obliterate any distinction between brand and performance marketing. And doing it all on the hugest screen in the house is, I think, really exciting.
Wow, that's huge. There's a lot, of course, in the wings around first-party data, right? And that's, in the cookieless world and things like that. Was Roku already uniquely positioned because they had a lot of first-party data? Because to me, it seems like you can inform a lot of these retailers, a lot of these, brands across category because you already had a lot of that data now. Or are you having to figure out this more first-party data strategy?
No, I think our direct relationship with our streamers is at the core of everything that we do, from publishers' perspective to advertisers' perspective and everywhere in between. Everything that we do comes back to how can we make the viewership experience better for streamers? And so from the time that someone sets up their device, we're providing a value exchange to them. If you provide your login information, we can personalize the TV experience. We can give you relevant content information. We can make recommendations about if you've watched this, you're likely to watch that. And so it's better for the consumers. And so based on that direct relationship, we then can bring publishers into the mix to say, we're going to, bring you into that equation so that we can help publisher X really overall be a part of that better consumer experience. And so that takes the form of making sure that consumers are not seeing the same ad over and over and over again from service A to service B. Ultimately, again, making it better for consumers. It's better for publishers as well because they're then not bombarding streamers with the same ads over and over. And then in turn, that's better for advertisers as well. And so when we go to the advertiser side, they're really excited that they can work directly with us and know exactly that they're reaching the right kind of audience. We're not inferring demographics, or we're not making guesses as to who that audience is by bridging together IP addresses, which we think will, in not too long from now, go the way of the cookie, bridge together consortiums of IDs that are largely passed around and have no direct tie to consumers as well. We have a direct relationship with consumers. They literally hold our remotes in their hand when they're watching TV, and that creates a much higher fidelity consumer experience and a higher fidelity advertiser experience as well. And it's better for publishers because of all that, they can monetize better, and that audience is worth more to them because they know advertisers are going directly after that.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This segment is brought to you by Salesforce. Salesforce brings marketing and engagement together. If you want to learn more, head over to salesforce.com/marketing. And please subscribe to this channel for more marketing insights from the world's best marketing leaders across the Fortune 500 and beyond.